Hello, and welcome to the podcast, It's a Matter of Life and Death, a podcast by Annie Anderson and the Energy Medicine Clinic, one where we look to support, align, guide, and empower conversations that are tricky, passionate, and emotional about life and death. Thanks for joining us. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Welcome to the very fancy studio we have here today.
Oh my goodness. I love this room. I would love this room to be my bedroom because of the shelves.
Yeah, it's
Like,
nice being
it's
able to
incredible.
put all the things out.
Incredible. Yeah.
Feels
love
very
it.
spacious.
Good energy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our, I don't even know what number podcast this is going to be for the series.
Yeah.
But this is our very first video
Yeah.
accompanying the podcast.
Yeah.
So welcome to the video portion of the event.
Surprise to me.
Yes. Yes. So for the viewers
Yep.
and the listeners, I can say both now, the viewers
Yeah.
and the listeners,
Yeah.
this is this can be a very interesting introduction. So you are Sheila,
Yes.
and this is the fourth time
4. Yep.
that we have tried to do this.
Yes. And I'm crossing my fingers and toes it'll work.
Right. So for those of you that are wondering, like, you don't know how to run your stuff, like, what's the problem? Super interesting. The first time we tried to record this, brand new batteries in the machine that said supposed to last 3 hours of recording.
Correct.
And they had been used for 1 hour. So
Yeah.
technically there should be 2 more hours left. And with the podcast aiming to be for an hour, I'm like, perfect.
Lots of time.
What was it? 20 minutes we got?
About 20, 25 minutes.
And then
Gone.
dead.
Yep.
Okay. Time number 2, fresh batteries. Brand new set. What was it, like 5 minutes? Not even? 10 minutes? Let's be generous.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe 10 minutes at the most.
And then
Gone.
done. Okay. So then time number 3. I forced the power to work with plugging it into the wall. No more batteries.
Yep.
I'm looking down at the little screen. It says how many minutes we've been talking. It's like a whole hour and 7 minutes or something. Okay, it's recording. It's good. All the lights are on. We're good to go.
Yep.
And then when I take the SD card and put it in my computer, normally an hour segment like this is like, I don't know, whatever it was, 90,000 gigabytes or megawatts or whatever it was. And yours was what, 2,000?
Maybe.
And there was no sound.
No, because I asked you, I said, how come you haven't dropped it yet? And you sent me a screenshot. I'm like, so you used it before me and after me,
Yeah.
but I'm not there.
No.
And I said, was there static? Like, go static. And you're like, nothing. And I'm like, interesting.
So you got some interesting energy about you.
A little bit. And I kind of made a joke about that because this is the first time anyone has actually had an off button on me. It is a miracle because my husband's wanted to do that for years.
Well, you know what? If I could figure out how to bottle that and sell it,
Yeah.
I would be a gazillionaire.
Yeah. No sense because you used it right after me.
Yeah.
Same room, same equipment,
Yeah.
but I wasn't there.
I should maybe dig that screenshot up and we should like post it in
Yeah.
the comments or something so people
Yeah.
can see what actually happens.
Yeah,
It was
maybe,
very, very interesting.
maybe they can figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is not a new thing for you, this sort of electrical interference.
Just I'm a little off.
Okay, not like milk, but
No, not sour.
okay.
Yeah, just energy stuff with electronics. Never been good in electronics. Nothing works for me. I don't wear a watch because it'll shut off or
Run
go backwards. Yeah, and my mom was like that too. She had to put nail polish on the back of her watch
To create a barrier?
Would, yeah, or it
Yeah.
would run backwards. And
What if
it
you put
worked-
a piece of insulation there?
I don't know.
Like, not clearly like wall or ceiling. Excuse me, I get the hiccups now. This tea.
Yeah.
Not that sort of insulation, but some sort of barrier. Or like an EMF pad that you could get to put on your phone.
Like a crystal or something.
Something. I don't know. Just a thought.
Might be.
Because you are an energetic being.
Yeah. Never thought about that. Of course, with my mom, we didn't have things
No,
back like that.
back in
then.
the day.
Yeah.
And the debit machine, you can sometimes mess up if you touch a debit machine.
Yeah, sometimes it just shuts off, and then I have to get the other person to ring it through, and then when I touch again, it'll shut off, and things just don't work. So when things are trying to get them to fix, they tell me to back off.
Okay, who's they?
People at work.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like, "Don't. We're trying to fix this. Get away.
Yeah. Step away from the
Step
electric.
away from the electronics." Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm used to just stumbling around, things not working.
And it's always been that way. There's no one defining moment that you can recall, like, boom, that strike of lightning that you sustained when you were...
No.
No?
No. Probably got dropped on my head a lot when I was little, but that had nothing to do with it.
And so your mom had this, but what about anybody else?
I don't know about like electronics and things like that, but I know my great aunt too would feel, see things, read cards,
Yep.
know things. My
Does
mom
it-
did too.
Does it feel like that goes hand in hand, like they're somehow connected?
Oh, yeah.
Like because you're maybe more open of a receptacle or a receiver
I think so.
of energy and information and things like that?
Absolutely.
Tell me more about that.
I think everyone has energy.
Yep. I 100%.
It just depends. Are they feeling it? Are they seeing it? Is it present? Is it on?
It is
It's
on, and I just
checked
checked.
in you.
Yeah, I just checked. It is recording.
Okay.
Yep. Let's look at the camera.
Is that
there.
working?
Yep. It's still
Excellent.
good.
Okay, we're good so far.
Okay.
So I think everyone has energy, but do they receive it? And how do they receive it? And what do they see from it?
Or do they close their eyes?
Correct.
Like metaphorically or physically
Yes.
even.
Because is it something you're not comfortable with? If you're not, do you block it off? Do you invite it in?
Well, jeepers, the stigma is out there. And like way back in the day, like my grandma, she was amazing at this sort of stuff. And I don't know for sure because I don't ever remember asking her, but I imagine, you know, she would be like 119 or something by now. Back in those days, you're kind of still in that era of, are you a witch? And are we going to put you on a stake to burn you?
Yeah, you're a little off, so we're not going to trust you.
Or are we going to put you in a mental asylum?
Correct.
Because you're clearly
unstable.
schizophrenic or, you know, something that, you know, not desirable or
not
bad or
normal is defined by society.
or are you an alien or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
But in today's day, it certainly is a lot more embraced. However, the stigma of woo-woo is still out there. And I like to say I put the woo into woo-woo.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, I've come out of the energetic closet, so to speak.
Yep.
And I embrace the woo.
Yes.
And so conversations like this for me are supernatural. Like
yes.
supernatural and
Super normal.
Normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that everyone should embrace their energy, their differences, and their woo-woo as normal.
Do you hide it? Like now you're going to be outed if you do.
I can't. Obviously, tonight I didn't know about this recording, so...
But you are okay with it.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be clear.
Yeah, let's be clear.
Okay.
Yeah, saying right now. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm obviously out of the closet now. But I think everyone should embrace it.
Yeah.
Some people embrace it in certain ways, like in creativity. It's something you can sense about their personality, where it's in the arts or different energy, dance, like different expressions. And they go as far as that in expressing that, and everyone thinks they're creative. But if you kind of cross that line into something that is non-understood by other people, you're no longer creative, you're just a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that not understanding, that not knowing that puts fear into people.
Yes. Because if you don't know it and you can't see it and you can't explain it,
Yeah.
then therefore it's not real.
But microwaves, you can't see or feel the microwaves, but yet your soup warms up.
Yes. Yeah.
You can't see or feel the radio waves, but yet you can hear music out of a box.
And I can imagine when that first started, how people felt.
Yeah.
That was not, maybe that was a little witchcraft.
Well, now, speaking of interesting things, everything we say is interesting, by the way.
Absolutely.
But I heard something the other day, and I will say right out of the hopper, I have not read the article. I have not seen the video on it. I don't know what medium it was in. And so, for all I know, I could be speaking out of my ear. However, I heard something very interesting about Wayne Gretzky last week.
Oh, I didn't.
Apparently, there was a study done on him on how it was he was such an amazing hockey player. Now, the premise was, that I understood from the person telling me, was that he was psychic and was able to tell where the puck was going to be.
Okay.
And he said that, allegedly, he said that it felt like time slowed down and everybody physically slowed down. So comparatively, he was much faster, even though he says, I don't think that I was skating any much faster than anybody else.
No.
But comparatively, he was faster. And because they were slower and this like slow-mo sort of thing, and he knew where the puck was going to be, it explains why when all of the gaggle of players was at one end of the rink, he would suddenly take off.
To the other.
And there was one one game, I guess, where the puck ricocheted off somebody's bum or their leg or their thigh, some sort of part. It ricocheted off, and it ended up exactly where he was headed to on the other end of the rink. And so his coach is sitting there on the bench screaming at him, like, what are you doing? Get back down there. Like, get where the puck is. And he was going where the puck was going.
Yeah.
And I think if this story is true, and again, I haven't seen, this is all secondhand or third hand to me, but it explains a lot.
It does.
Not to say he wasn't a talented player in all the other areas that are required to be talented as a hockey player.
Not taking away from that at all. No. Because it was hard work and he practiced.
Absolutely. He worked very hard. And he had a family that supported him and all that whatnot. But I think, what other people have gifts like this, energy that they receive, that they hide or they cover their eyes up because it's too weird, too out there. They're going to be criticized, condemned, put on a stake. You know what I mean?
And how do you explain that? Like, it's strange that would have come out now and not back when he was playing hockey. Because then people would have thought that was a little off.
Right. Or was he cheating somehow?
Right. That's a first, okay, you have to be cheating. There has to be something wrong.
Or in collusion with the other players, on the opposite team that are competing with you for the Stanley Cup. I don't think so.
No. It makes perfect sense that he could have experienced, because I've experienced that change in dementia. Okay, not dementia, in dimension.
Dimension, sure.
Yes.
Okay, tell me about that.
The flowing and the waves. So that makes perfect sense that he's seen that and he was here but could see where it was going. That makes perfect sense.
And that's happened to you?
Yes. Yeah, and I find it's
Tell me a story.
So interesting. Well, when I have a friend that, when I get tuned like with forks, that's probably the best because she can also feel it. And she usually slides kind of sideways into a different dimension. Obviously I have dementia. And she kind of can go and feel it side to side. The last session we had was very different because I smell things and taste things.
Right.
And this time I went down into the earth and become part of the earth, and it was beside me, but I could feel and be part of every leaf of the dirt, like I was buried like a coffin.
Right.
But I was part of the soil and then the leaf and the root and then growing.
You had melded.
I had melded. And the greatest part for me is like, oh my God, when I come out of it, I'm like, did you feel that? Like the waves and the melting. And I said, I tried to taste it and it wasn't silver. And she goes, mercury. And I'm like, that's it.
What?
Because I was it was in a lava lamp as part of the middle of the earth. Like, that was great.
So was she there with you?
She was doing the treatment.
No, well, physically, yes.
Yes.
But when you say you could taste the whatnot.
She could see and feel the same things I did.
Wow.
And so always when we're done, I'm like, what'd you get? And she usually goes down under earth and she could see like the records and.
Like Akashic records?
Yes.
Okay.
And she could see the drawers light up of what you're supposed to learn. And she says, there was no drawers lit up for you. There was nothing.
Okay, so for the listeners and viewers that don't know what the Akashic records are, it's the records of all activities, events, contracts, agreements that you have had with every person, animal, object, energetic being on all levels, in all dimensions, in all lifetimes. Almost like what I picture in my mind is one of those big libraries that rich people have with the little ladder that slides around, but it's like the size of the Saddle Dome.
Yes.
And there's like a big desk there, and there's a fire in the middle, and there's a records keeper there that will go when you ask
and
to summon whatever cat.
And a cat.
Summon whatever scroll or book or file you need to access this information.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
We're on the same page.
So she usually sees stuff like that, but this time there was nothing lit up for me, but the end was open. And open out to see everything.
The end.
The end of the records. Because usually she's underground.
Okay.
And it's kind of inside and she can pull the drawers. But this time nothing was lit up. But the end was open. It was the exact same thing I was seeing out into the desert.
So how did you interpret that?
That I still become part of the earth and I could go down, I could grow up.
But like you had a big future if it was
I
open.
Yeah, I had the answers and it was open. I wasn't enclosed. So I
Okay.
still needed to go. I had family on the one end. Like everyone that had passed in my family was standing there. Like everybody. And they were all hugging me and saying, "Kate, you need to go on and you need to finish. We finished ours. Now it's time to finish yours. Time to finish your contract."
Right. And do you know what's in that contract? Do you know what's to come? And you don't have to share if you don't want to.
No, it's not. I mean, it's when you think that life is going to go the way it is, it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, pivot. Oh, yeah. Okay. Pivot.
Squirrel.
Pivot. Like friends, right?
Yeah.
Pivot. You don't know exactly. There's what you wish. There's your path. You go towards that path. And as you know, the path suddenly veers.
Yeah.
So do you keep going the way that you want to go bullheaded?
Yeah. Forcing the issue.
Or do you just open it up and let the universe pick for you?
And allow.
And allow.
Is it that you think that the universe picks for you or gives you guidance?
Guidance.
Now, have you read the book The Celestine Prophecy?
Absolutely love it.
Okay. Have you done the workbook?
Some of it.
Have you read the 10th Insight?
Yes.
Okay. Now, it has been probably like 25
years,
years
yep.
since I have done the workbook. And I know
Yes.
that it came out in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But do you remember, and I reread the books at Christmas, but the workbook I haven't reread, but I have it somewhere on my shelf. What I took away from it all those 25 or 30 years ago, whatever it was when I read it, and tell me if you have the same experience, this recollection. There was a concept of soul groups. Do you remember that? So if you picture a big boardroom table and you're sitting there and you're the CEO of your life and you've got, say, 20 different people,
Yeah.
in quotation marks.
We'll say people.
For the
Souls.
visuals, sure.
Yep.
Sitting around the boardroom table, you've all got your clipboards because that's how you organize your papers, and you have a list of all the things that you would like to learn for your soul's evolution. Check, check, check. I've got this one. Okay, what's next on my list? I need to learn compassion.
Yes.
I need to learn forgiveness. I need to learn acceptance. I need to learn to appreciate love. Whatever everyone's next thing is on their list, that gets worked into a script, like a play script, if you will. And when everyone has a role or a part in the play that everyone co-creates together,
Correct.
if the script is followed to the end and everyone does and says and meets and chooses all the things that they pre-decide they would like to choose, then everyone gets check. They all get their goals and their mission accomplished for that life.
Right.
Okay? And so then if you were to jump off the cloud, let's say, and land in the body, your soul lands in the body of the baby that you decide you're going to be born to in order to achieve this. Everyone jumps off the cloud and lands in their body. And the catch is you consciously forget what the script that you wrote was.
Correct.
So then the question is, well, how on earth do you enact this play or have this experience if you have no conscious recollection of what you're supposed to do? What job are you supposed to have? Who are you supposed to marry? Where are you supposed to live? Etc.
It's like starting over.
Right. However, my understanding was that if you prayed or meditated or whatever the word is that you use for that, to speak to your higher self that is connected to somebody at the boardroom that has a copy of the script, and you say, okay, do I take the job in Boston or do I take the job in California? And then the person left at the top there that's helping direct the play gives you information through signs that you either choose to see or choose not to see. Like maybe you go to the donut shop and they've got a big sale on Boston cream donuts.
Yes.
Come have our delicious Boston cream donut. And you think, oh, there's the sign.
Right.
Or you're driving through Montana and there's all of a sudden a convoy of people from California and all the license plates are California.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So you get the signs or the wisdom, the guidance, the bumpers on the bowling alley given to you, and you can either choose to look for and recognize the signs and see how it feels in your heart when you try that decision on. Okay, is this the sign? How do I feel? Go with your emotions, tap into that. Yes or no.
Correct.
And then at the end of your life, you go back to the boardroom and you wait for everybody else to finish up and you hang out, maybe eat a Boston cream donut, who knows. But it kind of gives the opportunity for people to have some conscious understanding in this lifetime that you and I are in right now. How on earth do we explain tragedies? Well, perhaps somebody at the boardroom said, I really need to learn how to accept responsibility. Okay, check. Somebody else says, I really need to learn how to value life. Okay, check. So then, all right, we've decided that this first guy is going to be the drunk driver. And someone is going to volunteer to be the person they kill. And then someone else is going to be the parents of that person or that child. So the accident happens. The drunk driver then goes to jail and has an opportunity to learn about responsibility and accountability for his choices.
Accountability, correct.
Right? The child or the person that dies at the hand of the drunk driver gets an opportunity to practice forgiveness or appreciates the short life they had.
Right.
Or the parents maybe appreciate that short life, or they learn forgiveness for the drunk driver. So there's a bit of an opportunity there to kind of get okay as you could. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody who's, lost somebody in any of these situations.
Right.
But that's the concept that I took away from the book.
And that's a hard concept for people to understand.
Oh, for sure.
Because it doesn't make sense to people. Why would you choose to do that? Why would you choose to have a loved one die? Why would you choose to be the drunk driver?
Or have that pain as a parent.
The pain. So that doesn't make sense to a lot of people of wanting to choose that in order to learn something. But then that goes back to the imprint of our soul. The imprint is there. But are you listening? Do you have the blinders on? Or are you open? And most people in our society are not open to things that they can't see. They don't understand, and it's not black and white, yes or no.
And they can't control it.
They can't. Oh, control's a big one. If you can't control it, it's
got to be bad.
It's bad.
It's wrong.
And then again, why would you want to choose something that would include pain? But pain, as both you and I know, with anything in life or death, is growth.
It can be.
And depends again, where is it coming from? But you can't explain that to somebody. Why would you choose pain?
So I digress a little bit here, but so when you had said that you were in the Akashic Records during this tuning fork experience, and your family was all there, do you think that they're part of your soul group or just happen to be in your life?
At that moment, well, they're in my life all the time. But there was people in the field, because the field was over here and where I grew up, and then this was over here, and I went down on the earth out the other side. You'd think I'd been there for hours. They were there. Some of them are with me all the time. Others were saying that it's okay. So they were telling me it's okay to keep going, that I'm always going to have that support, and they're always going to have my back. Because they all came to hug me and touch me, and I could feel them.
Wow.
So I can feel the texture of their skin, if they were older, younger, their smells, and it was very brief, but each person, like there was a lot of people, like even neighbors and different people, each person was there, and I could smell them or touch them or see their smile.
Nice.
Yeah, and so they were there to say, it's okay to keep going. Trust. That's what I kept getting.
That was your big message.
You signed a contract, and I'm like, oh, life is hard.
When in this contract do I get a raise?
Yes. Yes.
I need more vacation days in this contract.
You signed a contract to be in this life.
Yeah.
It is not over yet. We got your back. Keep going.
But you're not aware of what the contract or the play script is, or do you have an idea?
It's a little bit here and there, and it depends on what's happening in my life of what I can see. Because for me, it's always just leaving it open and going, what am I supposed to do? I leave it to you. And then the answer comes to you, and you're like, as you said, you feel comfortable with it. But it
resonates.
It resonates, and you're like, interesting. Okay.
And maybe not what you would have expected if you were making the actual decisions yourself.
Right. Because often when we choose things that make us feel uncomfortable, or it doesn't seem right, or you're wavering, because you said like Boston, California, and you're back and forth, and you're not comfortable with it, it might not even be either of those two things.
Right.
But are you just
Haha.
leaving it open?
Yes. I saw or read, I don't know, even know, but the premise was it's yes or not now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily a no, it's just a not now.
Not now. You might not have the tools in your toolbox
Yeah.
to go to that yes.
Or
yet.
not everybody else is ready.
Right.
It's like you're having a dinner party, not everybody's there yet, so you don't start to eat. Not now.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. And then you might not also have, as you said, all those people ready to go with you.
Yeah.
Or you might not actually have the tools, or you've learned what you need to move on to there.
Yes.
Because I find a lot of people, and myself too, because people were like, why don't you just move somewhere else? You know, you might be happier there. And I'm like, if I'm not happy here with myself, moving somewhere else does not give you happiness.
Yes.
So it goes back to, do you have the tools within to give yourself what you need in order to fulfill that contract?
Yeah.
And find those answers of the not now.
Because what are you going to miss out on if you try and force things? Square peg, round holes, like you've got a puzzle, you're just trying to cram that piece in to make it fit so you can wash your hands, I'm done.
Yeah.
No,
it doesn't work that way. No, not at all. And then you get to be unhappy. Like how many people you know that are passing and they have regrets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wish I would have done that, or wish I would have done that, but were you supposed to do that?
Yeah, good question.
Was it something that you were actually
clearly
supposed to
no,
do?
because it didn't
You didn't do
happen.
it.
Yeah.
Right? People were like, well, I wish I would have done this and this. And I'm like, but then you didn't. Or it was a not now.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah.
And that's okay. That's okay. Absolutely. Have you had any times where it was like, and you left it open and you got the answer?
100%.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what is your how do you feel that that's the right way to go?
Oh, when there's the whole concept of being in the flow or in the zone. When you're firing on all 8 cylinders and everything you touch is golden, you know, I know that I'm in the right spot. When it's easy, when there's ease, there's grace, there's happiness, there's joy, and it's resonating in my body. If the emotions are high, because let's face it, love is higher a vibration of emotion than anger or hatred. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting is what's even higher than love. Do you know? Gratitude. Mm-hmm. If you vibrate at a frequency for gratitude, you vibrate higher than love.
And it gives you all those things.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So when I'm vibrating on those high frequencies of love, gratitude, joy, excitement, you know, doing all the things, you know, just being super excited, living the dream.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I know I'm in the right spot.
But because you're grateful for those things.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And all your squirrels are grateful.
Yeah.
Because that is your spirit animal.
Yeah, all the squirrels. Yes.
All the squirrels.
The number of people that have asked me about the squirrel stickers that you put on the back of my van.
Yes.
Oh, it's just been great. It's been awesome.
That's your spirit animal. When you were talking about seeing things, I was with my cousin. And we were driving from Calgary to Edmonton. And we're heading down the highway. And I come to an accident. And all the cars are stopped, like, past Suffield somewhere there. And I'm like, oh. And then I can feel that flow and that ebb of kind of like another dimension. Okay. And then I'm like, oh, they died. And I could just feel it. And I could just feel the weight come over me. Mm-hmm. So I can feel it now. And then hard to breathe. And I'm driving and we're stopping and we go past the accident. And I look over and I'm like, they're all dead. There's clothes all over the highway. Mm-hmm. There was a white truck that the big, like Ford F-150, the whole front of it was missing. And there was something in the ditch that was a small vehicle. Right. And I knew all the people in the ditch were gone.
You could just feel it as you went by.
I could see it. Everything was webbing, like very slow. Like,
okay, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like slow motion.
Yep.
And like this. And so it's like waves, like vibrations in the air, like the other dimension. So I'm going by and I could just feel it. And I'm like, you know, like I go by anything like that, I'm like, bless you. I hope you, find your way in your peace. And going by and I could just feel how heavy it was and harder to breathe because I could feel just before the impact of from all of them in the car. And I feel there was 3 people in the car, 4. Yeah. but there's nothing left of it. It was a little ball. So I go by, and I'm like, okay. And so I'm going along, pick up my cousin. I'm telling her about it. It's like, oh my God. And she's telling me about a time when she was in a car and she got in an accident. She spun around the highway and she had a little girl with her. Instead of panicking, she was a baby. She goes, it's okay. And she felt someone with her and the car spun, but it didn't roll. And a truck driver had stopped middle of winter and said, I can't believe you didn't flip. She goes, well, I just knew it was going to be okay. She's like, I wish I knew who that was. And I look over and I said, oh, it's your grandma. And all of a sudden she started to cry. And I said, well, she's here now. She's telling you it's okay. And she's just bawling. And she goes, really? And I've never met her grandma, but I told her her name. I'm not going to say it now, but told her her name. And she goes, oh, that makes perfect sense. And, because now it makes sense. And I said, yeah. And I said, it was like today. And then all of a sudden we get stopped in traffic again. I said, oh, another accident. She goes, she's looking at me. I said, it's okay. We're going to go around it. And I said, and she says, well, how do you know everything's okay? And I said, well, we just got stuck back there and we went into a store and we forgot something. Mm-hmm. So that was meant to be because we would have been at that point of that accident.
Yeah, that delay happened.
And so we stopped and we went and she's like, oh, yeah. And I said, you know how we're all okay in that white vehicle I saw? And she said, yeah. I said, look around us. And she's like, there was 3 white vehicles behind us. 1 on either side, 6 coming down an off ramp, like trucks, cars, and everything.
Everyone was white.
A white semi in front of us. We were surrounded by white vehicles, and they followed us all the way to Edmonton. And I said, "Okay, thank you for the blessing." And then they all separated.
Almost like white angels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So now every time I'm in a storm and I'm like, "Okay, help me out here," all of a sudden I'm surrounded by white vehicles. But she was just like.
I can about imagine.
Yeah, but it was when, I said, look at that off-ramp over there, and 6 white vehicles come down. Yeah. And she was just like, wow, that's just amazing. So, but would I have seen that?
Right, would you have recognized it?
Right.
Taken note.
Yeah. But it's just that feeling and that calmness and just letting it be. I said, okay, let it be what is to be, and then they were there. And letting it be. Mm-hmm. Because we can't control life and everybody tries
to. Control is such an illusion.
Oh, especially for those who think they have it.
Yeah. Yeah. So when did you realize that you had this gift that other people didn't have?
I don't even know if I think I have it now.
How do you mean?
I just think it's normal.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, when did you realize that you were this version of normal and other people had a different version of normal?
Even when I was a little kid. No matter where I went, the animals would follow me. They knew, my dad says, I don't understand how the dog knows what time you're coming home, even if it's at different times.
Right.
And the dog would go out to the end of the road because we lived on a farm, and 6 cats, 15 cats, because we had over 30 cats, they would all sit there and they'd wait. And he goes, I always knew when you were coming home because they were out at the end.
They would gather.
Yeah. And the cows and the horses and all the animals just... Mom's like,
what about with your siblings? Did they gather for them too, or just you?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Yeah. And even when I was 5 and my grandma died, she was in the room next to me, and she had passed away that night. And then I got up the next morning, and everyone's upset, and I'm like, oh, and I felt upset because they were crying because I was 5.
Right.
And they said, oh, she passed away. I said, yeah, I know. She said bye. And they're like. But I actually seen her because I was sleeping. They didn't wake me up.
Right.
And I was up above, and I can still see it now. And then
out of body?
No, I was on a cliff. They were down below by the ocean.
Okay.
I'd never seen the ocean, and I could smell it. I could smell it now. I could smell the salt, but never seen the ocean. Never saw the ocean until I was 14.
Right.
And she was there, and the people that were in the car with her were there because it was my mom, her sister, and my dad was driving. Out to the hospital, and they were there, and they were crying and letting her go, and then she floated up and she waved goodbye to me and said it was okay, and I waved and I said yeah. She said bye. And when they told me I couldn't go to her funeral, I was mad. Mm-hmm. They said, well, you're too young. I'm like, too young for what? She already said goodbye. And they're just thinking, ooh. Yeah. And
even your mom though?
No, she understood, and you could see the look on her face, and so did her sister.
Right. But it still wasn't cool to
it wasn't
acknowledge
cool.
out loud.
No, because how would I know
Right.
who was driving the vehicle? How would I know who was with and what time she went and that she was okay?
Right. Have you ever had an opportunity to talk to your mom before she passed about these things?
She had a stroke.
Okay.
So even before that, we would talk about things. When she would open up a little bit because other people didn't talk about it, she would feel those things and see those things, and you could tell when she did because she had the look of peace on her face. And my great aunt also had it. Like, she read cards,
Right.
just regular cards.
Oh, not tarot, but like
No,
cribbage cards?
they didn't have tarot cards.
Okay.
And I think the only reason she read the cards is so it didn't look so goofy, pointing that this was going to happen, right?
Yeah,
So
the card said it. Yeah.
Card said it, not me.
Yeah.
So I know now that's why. But
That's interesting.
She didn't have tarot cards. They were just regular cards. Oh, so the 5 of diamonds means this. So I thought all cards were magic.
Okay.
And so she predicted my birth, and everyone thought it was my aunt that hadn't had kids yet. And she's like, because my mom wasn't intending on having more kids. She thought she had the flu for a lifetime, because she went to the doctor and said, I have the flu. And he goes, no, you're pregnant. I was like, I can't be pregnant. I'm too old. He goes, yeah.
Surprise.
You're pregnant. Surprise, yeah. So she would predict things and just know things, and she'd be able to calm people just by touching them. And
Healing hands.
healing hands, absolutely. Yep. So my mother was like that, and my aunt, and those are the only ones I could kind of sense it when I was younger.
None of the men folk.
No.
Or at least they were really good at not acknowledging it.
No. I never felt that from them at all.
Do you think that more women are in touch with this stuff than men? Like, as a rule, like out in the world? Like, I just thought about that.
Yeah. I do.
And why? Why do you think that?
Well, women tend to get together and communicate. So we come together and we could communicate and talk about things. So if we talk about this experience and then the person sitting here is like, oh, I had that experience too, it's not so odd.
Right.
I don't know, and maybe they do. I don't know of many guys who get together and go, hey, I had this dream last night. Because the other guys are going to go, oh, what kind of dream? And it's awkward.
Yeah.
I don't know any guys. I mean, let me know if you do, but I don't know any guys that get together and talk about things like that.
Or feelings.
Feelings.
Yeah.
Because our society says
That's not cool.
No.
That's not macho. That's not strong. That's not societal norms.
Yes. Yeah, it's not what a man would do. So if they can't open up to their feelings in normal conversation, how is it okay to open up to the spiritual world?
Yeah.
And if they do, they really have to find a safe place to do it.
Yeah.
And most men I know, it's with a group of women.
Yeah, I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
I feel badly for that because I think of how many conversations go unsaid that would be healing.
Absolutely.
Or even just entertaining, or a gift, or, just that human connection, that raw, vulnerable human connection that gets missed.
Yeah, I had that too. Or I had that
It
dream
normalizes.
too. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that's sad. I feel sad for guys that they can't go and be part of that group and do that. Because we, as women, could learn so much from that.
I would love to actually have a man guest to talk about this very thing.
Yes.
So if anyone listening to this
Yes.
or watching this has, that sort of experience themselves, or like they are that guy that feels comfortable, like, give me a holler. Like, I would love to discuss this with somebody with actually skin in the game.
Yes.
Right?
Because I'm sure there's so many things that men feel and say and do about this conversation that we have no idea.
Right.
That could give us
A different
insight.
perspective.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. Which would be wonderful. I would love that.
Yeah.
Because normally groups of men are men's groups.
Mm-hmm.
And women's groups, or book club, or something like this. Not where, hey, let's get together and talk about this.
Talk about feelings and spirits and the other side and the woo and
the woo-woo. Yeah. Yeah. I think woo-woo's a great name. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Queen of Woo.
The Queen of Woo. Yeah, sounds good, actually. Yeah. Yeah. So with people that have come and talked about death, have you found people like the same kind of weave through that? If you know what I mean.
In the same pattern?
In the same pattern or the weave that people are starting to see death as part of life?
Okay, so I'm stuck on the word weave.
I always think of a weave as it's something between us all, like a fabric, like a weave, like a ribbon, where it's all there with us and holding us together. But how tight is that weave?
Okay.
How do people you know and talk to understanding that death is just part of life and not to be afraid of it?
And so the question, give me the question again from the top.
Have you talked to a lot of people that are accepting death as part of life and seeing it as part of the woo-woo?
You know, that's an excellent question. When I took my death doula course, and I started hosting the Death Cafe here in Medicine Hat, I was shocked at the number of people that came that were also death doulas.
Oh, I had no idea.
Right?
Yeah.
I think the first group I had 3 in it, and I went, what? And the next one I had 7, and I'm like, and they were completely different people than their first 3. There was no overlap.
Okay.
And I'm like, what is happening here? Like, I really thought, okay, I got the corner on the market here in Medicine Hat.
I'm the only one.
There's like 1 or 2 out there maybe.
Yeah.
And now I met a new friend to me, and she has gone and taken her death doula.
Yeah.
And then I met another lady a few weeks ago who said, yeah, I've been doing this my whole life. I'm just not trained in it. But everyone calls me when their person is dying so I can sit with them in vigil. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it is certainly way more normalized in mainstream, even though it's underground.
Yes.
And I say underground not because there's anything shameful about it, but because it's just not talked about. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted this podcast was to, like, originally I thought, we're going to talk about death. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, no, we're going to talk about death, but we're going to talk about hard things, emotional things, tricky things, like out of the box things, stuff that people have been closeting themselves in.
I've lost the box.
So that we can like open this dialogue and like normalize this stuff for people.
But I think part of death is also part of woo-woo.
Oh, it sure can be.
Because it is still something that can't be defined the same for everybody.
Yep.
It is spiritual.
Yep.
It is
not necessarily religious.
Not necessarily.
But for some people, it's very religious.
Absolutely.
Which is different.
So everybody has their beliefs, raised a different way. Religion, spiritual, it doesn't matter what it is. It's still death that is part of life. And if we can open up about the woo-woo.
Yeah. And what might be on the other side.
Right.
Or just even consider what might be on the other side that's a different position than yours.
Right. And what resonates with you.
Yeah.
So when someone says something sometimes about their beliefs about death or about life or the woo-woo, and I'm like, oh, and I get really excited about it, then I know that resonates with me.
Yeah.
So if we can talk spiritually about things, talk about the woo-woo, talk about like the Celestine prophecy and the way things work like that.
Yep.
You can't come down from another soul unless you've died. So when you talk about the Celestine prophecy and choosing and your table and doing all these tasks and checking them, that sounds wonderful.
I know.
It's not scary at all.
Well, and the other thing that I forgot to mention, the other concept in there that really resonated with me was, you know, when you meet somebody and you feel like, oh man, I have known you my whole life.
Yeah.
Like we just click. Like
let's be
we got
friends.
it going on. We're like besties.
Yes.
You like sushi? I love sushi. You like red? Red's my favorite color. Oh
I have a pet squirrel too.
Right? There's all of these instant connections that are very important to you that mirror that other person. Why is that? They're part of your soul group.
Yeah.
You've known them for however many lifetimes, and you found each other again in this one. Yep. And I went, oh, I love that concept.
That makes sense.
Total makes sense.
So then again, part of the cycle. It's okay. It's not anything to be afraid of.
Well, it's interesting. I have a new friend. I say new. We've been friends, I don't know, I want to say 18 months now, something like that.
That's a new Fred for people our age.
I resemble that remark. I met her on an Aurora Borealis chasing Facebook group.
Yes.
And I say I met her. We were just kind of like making comments on the same thread. And then she actually sent me a friend request at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what? No, I'm not accepting your friend request.
And who's up at 1 in the morning?
Yes. So we started text talking through the Facebook.
Yeah.
And like our names are both Anne.
Yeah.
We've both been in healthcare.
Yeah.
We both had our house burned down when we were kids. We both have squirrel as our spirit animal. Like it's just the what is the word?
The connection.
Oh my gosh, I'm not braining right now. The similarities were just like carbon copy in so many ways. And I'm like, is this woman part of my soul group?
And doesn't that feel weird sometimes?
No, it feels natural.
It feels natural and weird because when I meet someone like that, I'm so excited. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Yep. And you know what? Maybe there's some people that I really click with and I've known them for 50 lifetimes and other people 500 lifetimes.
Yes.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
But just like what you said before, just being able to have these discussions about what might be on the other side of this death of this vehicle that we're in as we hurtle through space is like fascinating to me.
It's okay.
I saw a picture the other day and it was like the Earth and then there was like all the other planets and the sun and the galaxies. And I think people who think that we are the only intelligent life species out there, like, come on.
I hope there's some.
Put your ego back in your pocket. Like, there's so much out there that we just have no clue about.
No, and we're just learning about it now.
And so then I think, why are they so invested at not even entertaining the possibility that there's something else out there? Because they don't know what it is.
It's rigid.
It's scary. It's unknown. They can't control it. Therefore, it must be bad. We must not be able to talk about it. Shut it down. Done.
Prove it.
Right?
It has to be scientific. And you have to prove it.
What's the expression? When you see it, you'll believe it? Or if you'll believe it, then you'll see it.
Right. Yeah. So you tell me, how come people still believe in Santa Claus then?
Well, I'm a Santa Claus.
Me
Well,
too.
I explained that to my kids, actually. They said,
Did you?
like, is Santa Claus real? I said, well, what do you think Santa Claus is? Well, you know, there's this guy and like he gives you presents and like wears this outfit. And I said, so basically what you're saying is there's somebody out there that you don't know that's doing super nice, kind things for you. It just so happens to be one particular day, every day, or every year on the same day. But he's doing something super nice with no expectation of return.
Yes.
Yes. I said, okay. So we know that our friend Jolene really likes eggnog. So what if we were to go to the store right now and buy a jug of eggnog, take it to her house, put it on the doorstep, ring the doorbell, and run? She won't know who gives her the eggnog. We're doing a super nice, kind, random act of kindness.
Yeah.
Like, is that not being a Santa? And my son went, huh.
Yeah.
I said, and would that not make you feel good inside to do kind things like that randomly without any expectation of return? Well, yeah. Because you know that your friend Jolene would really like this eggnog.
Yes.
Yeah. I said, okay, so let's go be a Santa.
Yeah.
And that's how we transitioned the conversation of Santa, because that's what Santa is.
Because you changed it in a different view that other people could understand it.
Yeah.
And it might resonate with them.
Yeah.
Because people are like, well, Santa's not real. I'm like, really? Isn't it? So your perception of what Santa is and coming down the chimney, because I think that'd be creepy. I'm sorry if a fat sweaty man climbed down my chimney and I don't have a chimney. I'm like, why are we telling kids that? Like, that's creepy, especially if I had a fireplace. To me, it's just not right. It's like, don't tell kids that. They're going to be scared of the chimney. It's like you're changing it around to one time a year of happiness.
Yeah.
And giving.
Yeah.
Without expecting, as you said, something in return.
I would like to know, and maybe you know the answer to this, and maybe you don't, and someone else can tell me, but I would like to know how Santa got looped into Christmas with Christians. Do you know? Like, this is me squirreling hard here right now.
Well, me too, because I'm thinking there had to be some alcohol involved. So there was the original, like, Saint Nick at Christmas, like in different countries.
But like Saint Nick as in like religious saint Nick?
Yeah, and Saint Nick in some other countries and giving. But when you're saying Saint Nick and Christmas and the birth of Jesus doesn't go together.
Yeah, I don't know how that leap was
Yeah,
made.
so someone can tell you. I'd like to
I'll
know
let
too.
you know. Yeah, when I know, you'll know.
Because when you think of what other people think of as Jesus in the manger and out in the desert with all these guys, there's no red guy in a suit in the background.
With a bunch of kangaroos flying around. Oh,
Yes.
that's the other song. That's the other Christmas song. Reindeer.
So, yeah, what is that connection? That's how I think too, like the
Yeah.
squirrels. It's what we tell people, is it real? And it's another thing for kids. I'm like, don't tell someone they're going to sneak in the house in the middle of the night and give you something. No wonder people are afraid of Santa. When you take them to the mall and you put them on their lap,
right?
and they're screaming, I find that
I did
really
that
funny.
once to my kids.
Did you?
Just once.
I find
and I
that
thought,
so
this is
funny.
awful. Why am I
This is
doing this
bad.
again?
Because it's like, please don't talk to strangers. But can you just sit on this sweaty guy's lap and can you tell what you'd like? Sorry for all those people that are for mocking you, and I know it's great. Some kids think it's great, but others are screaming.
Yeah.
Because then there's the other thing. It's like, okay, don't talk to strangers. Sit on his lap. Don't take candy from strangers, but once a year.
Knock on people's doors.
House and ask for candy. What?
Lots of backwards sort of traditions here in our world.
Yep. So if you can take something, don't do this, but do this, why can't you do a little woo-woo?
Mm-hmm.
Because my squirrel can see and make the connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so how do we normalize the woo? Like, literally, other than taking the slings and arrows from people, how do you normalize the woo? And when I say woo, in this case, I mean, like, being able to know things without knowing how you know it. Being able to see things or see people or talk to passed on loved ones, getting that connection. And, like, undoubtedly, there's people that say, you know what? This person, they've got brown hair. It's in a ponytail. They're wearing a Rough Riders shirt. They have white high tops. They drive a red sunshine car, whatever, Sunbird. And that was exactly the person that they lost. How do they know that? I don't know. They just do. But how do you normalize the knowing of things, the woo of things? Like, do you have an answer for that?
I just tell people.
Or do you just be the way it is? And
be the way it is, but I think sometimes asking people, what do you feel right now? And usually what you feel right now is often right.
Okay, but how does that normalize the woo?
I think if people did it enough and realized to trust themselves, that it's okay. But how many people trust themselves when you can't see it?
True. We're back to not being able to control it.
Yes.
And it's out there and it's different and you can't see it or touch it. It's not tangible. It's not quantifiable.
Yeah. But have you ever asked somebody, like, what do you feel right now? And they just spit something out and they're like, I don't know where they come from.
Yep. Oh, I do that in my practice here at the clinic all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're like, all of a sudden they back up. You can see them kind of
Shrink.
shrink.
Tighten up.
And they don't trust themselves. And it's like, why not?
Because they've been told it's not cool. It's not good. It's not safe. It's not right. It's not. You're too much.
Oh, you're out there.
You're too big. You're too loud.
Too loud. Yeah, that's me.
Not acceptable.
Yeah, too loud.
Don't
too
fit
big.
in the box.
Oh yeah, I lost the box. It's just not happening. You're the weird. You're the strange person.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do that a lot with people when they're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm like, okay, what would you do in this situation? And they spit it out. So why don't you just let that be?
Do that.
Just say, let it be, to the spirit, to the world.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Give me what you think I should have. Give me what I need to learn from. That's what I say a lot.
That's like an allowing perspective. There's a lot of ease in allowing.
And I use that example with people that I used to think, oh, when I was single, can I just have, like, just bring me somebody who loves me? I got a stalker. So.
Careful what you wish for.
Well, that's what I wish for. And, just, bring me something for this. And you get what you ask for.
Oh.
And some people will say, I didn't ask for that. And I'm like, didn't you?
You asked for an experience and how it got delivered
Was different.
Yeah, than what you expect. I remember once saying, let's be clear, universe. I am not asking for this again.
No, we're just talking about it.
Right?
Yes.
I said, I just need my life to slow down a little bit.
You?
Yeah.
That
I
means
know.
all the squirrels would have been run over.
And I broke my foot.
Okay.
Like, you stop walking fast, you stop running, you stop doing a lot of things, and your life becomes very slow very quickly when you have a broken foot. And I thought, okay, I had a broken toe. I now have a broken foot. I do not need a broken femur in order to get the message. Okay. I need to be more clear
You
on
said
what
that
I
out
asked
loud?
for. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Gee, and what happened next?
I took the time.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, I asked for my life to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ask for it to slow down because of the result of like a lottery winning that would have allowed me to slow down.
Yeah.
But I got what I asked for.
You did.
And so I thought, okay, I got it. I might as well take advantage of it. Like, what can I do to just embrace the slow and just be here?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then other people would have thought, oh my God, what bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what you asked for.
Well, it's like that old proverb, speaking of bad luck, squirrel.
Squirrel.
There's this old farmer who has one son.
Mm-hmm.
And they're working on the farm, and I think the horse runs away. And the neighbors say, oh, what bad luck that is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the farmer says, well, maybe yes, maybe no. And they keep working the farm without the horse. Few weeks or months or whatever later, the horse comes back, and it's brought back another horse. It's found a mate, and it's brought the mate back. And now they have two horses.
Mm-hmm.
And the neighbors say, oh, this is great luck. This is wonderful. And the farmer says, well, maybe yes, maybe no. The two horses get together and do horsey things, and however many months later, there's a baby horse that comes out of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And the neighbors say, oh, this is great luck. Maybe yes, maybe no, because now he's got these extra horses to feed and whatnot. And his son decides when the time is right to break the horse and, get ready to ride and all that sort of stuff. And he falls off and breaks his leg. Mm-hmm. And the neighbors say, oh, this is terrible. And he says, well, maybe yes, maybe no. It is what it is. And a few days later, the army comes through drafting all the young men to go to war.
Mm-hmm.
And his son doesn't go because he's got this broken leg.
Yeah.
So, you will find the maybe yes, the maybe no, the good, the bad, in all the situations you will ask, you will get. Maybe not in the package that you deliver.
No.
So clarity is important.
And clarity, but also just leaving it open.
Yeah. Allowing.
Because
Not controlling.
that was the path, not what he expected.
Yeah.
But absolutely true.
My friend Marcy said to me once, if you're asking for something, ask for it and then add or something better.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you're allowing the universe to deliver you something even better. If I said, I want $10,000 and there was a $20,000 lottery that I bought a ticket for and the universe says, you only asked for $10,000, I'm not giving it to you.
Yeah, and it was 10,001.
Right? But if you said, you know what, $10,000 or something better.
Yeah, or more. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to allow it. And people, again, it's part of the control.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you, in your life and the way you've done, you were going to be in the health field, you're going to do all that. When you were doing that, did you expect you'd be here?
No.
No, not even close.
Not even close.
Nope. And this resonates as being the way it should be.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
Feels great.
But back then, if you would have said, oh, I'm going to be here in the studio and doing this, you'd be like, really?
Well, it's interesting because I saw a lady in town here, and she said to me when I first walked in the door, she was a psychic, medium.
Yeah.
And she said to me, like, I didn't even have my shoes off.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, are you a police officer?
Mm-hmm.
I said, no. She says, oh, I'm getting my shoes off. I'm getting my coat off. She says,
Are you sure?
are you a massage therapist?
Mm-hmm.
I said, no, but I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
She says, oh, do you do Reiki?
Mm-hmm.
I said, I did like 10 years ago or 15 years ago or however long ago it was at the time. She says, oh. She says, but you're not a cop. I said, no. She says, you wear a uniform though. I said, yes. She says, you're a paramedic.
Yeah.
I said, yeah. And not for much longer. You're going to be leaving that pretty quick, and you're actually going to have to do some sort of course that will, like, just a refresher course or something. It's going to take you in a completely different direction. And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. I love Like, and I did. I love being a paramedic. Don't tell me I'm not going to be doing this any longer.
Just as the paramedics are right there outside your window.
Oh, get out.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm never leaving this. This is the best job in the world. Right? And here we are now, several years later, not completely, different way of helping people heal.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not that you're not doing, because as a paramedic, you wanted to help people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a great job.
So you still are, just in a different way.
Yes. 100%.
So people think, like the proverb that you had, when you're changing things in your life, people have such a loss over a job or a title.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people that either retire or they lose their job, especially say over COVID, that they no longer have that identity.
Mm-hmm.
And then they grieve it.
Mm-hmm.
And they think they're not the person that they were anymore because that was their whole person. That was their identity. And they didn't have anything besides that.
Yeah.
And that's really sad because you have to realize that that's not your identity.
No, there is so much more to everybody than just what they do from 9 to 5.
Yes.
Or 11 to 11 in my case.
Yeah. And it's not the whole person.
No.
But that's how we identify people in our society.
Yeah.
You're not Annie that's like, gives great hugs and smiles and always there and has squirrel stickers on her car.
And makes a mean meatloaf.
Yes, you're this person, your identity. You're a
job.
paramedic,
Yeah.
your job. That's sad because we're a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a cop or a lawyer or something you went to school for a long time to be a good person.
And to matter and make a difference.
Right. To all the people out there. But we always define each other by what we do.
Yeah. I agree.
Because what do you do when you meet somebody? Hey, what do you do?
Yeah. Totally. I've been guilty of that.
It's just kind of how we start a
You know what the best
conversation.
question I found to replace that with?
What?
Is, hey, I'm Annie, or you're at a party, whatever. I'm Annie. Yep, you're Sheila. Yeah, nice. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So, we're both here at this party. Isn't this interesting? We're both here.
Yeah.
And all the millions of decisions that you've made in your life up until right now, and all of the millions of decisions that I've made in my life right now have brought us both here together at this exact same time. Why do you suppose that is?
I love that.
What lesson or wisdom or something, what nugget do you have that only I can get from you that we have come here to share? And what do I have for you?
Yeah, why?
What gift do we have for each other? What piece of wisdom do we have for each other?
What are we supposed to learn?
That's a great question. And I'd love asking people that question because 9 times out of 10, their head just goes and explodes a little bit. And they're like,
I can just see that.
I was waiting to say accountant.
So, where's the free bar?
Right? Yeah.
Because it's a lot of people have probably had this where they had this really good connection or friends with somebody and it was a long time ago and they haven't seen them for years and they don't know where they are and they just think of them fondly and what a good friends they were and then you just went your separate ways and you're like, why couldn't we stay friends? Maybe they taught you what you were supposed to
be taught.
And sometimes you feel sad about it because you wish you could see them again. But even in that moment at the party, what are you supposed to learn? Because maybe you're only going to know them for 20 minutes.
That's it. And you'll never, ever see them again in your life.
Never. So what can you take from that?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Let's see what we got.
I'll ask people that when I stop at the Tim Hortons drive-thru.
Yep.
Like, there's not 20 people behind me and I'm not holding the line up. But I will say that to people a lot.
Yeah.
Especially when they have that spark in their eye, that je ne sais quoi, that, indescribable something.
And it's going to be a good answer.
Yes. Yeah. Or I'll say, what piece of life advice do you have for me? Oh, I've got nothing. Bullshit. You have survived everything that life has thrown you up until now, and the proof is you're standing here in front of me.
You're breathing.
You must know something valuable. Tell me something valuable. And I put them on the spot. And they'll say something, and it's generally really good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you.
And then probably the look on their face is like, did I just say that?
Uh-huh.
Because you asked.
I love it.
They responded with truth.
My soul spoke to their soul.
Yes. And that's where you're talking about making the woo-woo okay. Even though it was a simple question, that's still woo-woo.
I think so.
Because it was out of the box.
Oh, judging by their faces, they'll think, what is happening here?
Yeah.
Why did I come to work here
Am I on
today?
camera?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got that a lot with some people where they're like, is there a camera in here?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
The other great question, I think, to really connect with people is, tell me what you're looking forward to. What are you excited about in your life right now?
Nothing. I get that a lot.
I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, you're not looking forward to, like, the fresh baked bread that's coming, or, there's got to be something good. And I really sometimes have to dig for some people that are Eeyores.
Yeah.
But I think it's so important to leave people with that sense of something good. What are you looking forward to? What are you excited about? And then when they have something super cool, you might learn something amazing that you had no idea about before.
Or about them.
Yeah.
That you've seen
another
them,
aspect to them.
And you're like, wow, I never knew that about you.
Yeah.
Because no one's ever asked them.
No.
So that's where you're actually being present and seeing them.
And grounded and real and in that moment. Yeah.
Not like, so what do you do? But asking that question
Yeah.
where you really wanted to know what their answer was.
Yeah.
And we don't listen to people in society. And, well, anybody, really. Just, where do you work? What do you do?
Yeah.
And you're not really listening. And then they say something like, oh, and then you go into the next person.
Yeah. You're just waiting to respond to the next question.
Yeah. Yeah. And instead of saying, well, what, like you said, what are you looking for? Well, nothing. What about tomorrow? Oh, well, I'm going to do this, this, this.
Yeah.
Because it can be something so simple.
Yep.
So simple.
So I'm going to wrap this up and I'm going to ask you, what do you suppose it is that you and I were meant to exchange? What piece of wisdom were we meant to exchange? Excuse me. After, having known each other for several years now and having different interactions at different workplaces and things like that. And here we are sitting here right now on this podcast, recording live. What is the biggest piece of wisdom, do you think, that you were meant to deliver to me or something?
Well, the first thing I just asked what pops in my mind, well, we're going to be working together.
Oh, interesting.
Don't know where or what, but that's what just came to me. So we will
prepare for that. Buckle up.
Buckle up. It is Squirrel City. Heard those squirrels. I'm still getting you a t-shirt.
I love it.
Yep. Be good. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me today.
I'm super excited to see if the recording worked and the audio worked this time.
Otherwise, it's take 5, and I don't know if we have to go in a field and have some solar energy.
I don't know. Let's hold the vision.
Oh, yeah. And you should put that picture of that I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like, I can't explain it.
I will dig that out.
If there was static.
That's one thing.
That's the first thing I asked you. I'm like, was there static? And you said no. And I'm like, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting that it was just shut down because it wasn't our time to speak together.
Yeah.
And look how it's different now.
Oh, the conversation that we've had tonight is so far from what we tried those other times.
It wasn't what we were supposed to talk about.
No.
And that's why it was cut off.
And this has been like a buffet of topics that we've had.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm sitting here right now thinking, oh, geez, how am I going to organize a little intro for this?
Good luck with that.
Wow. There's going to be a lot that's going to have to get thrown.
There's
thrown into the mix.
And then
the woo.
The woo. And then a woo-woo.
And then there's like practically a whole book series review.
Yeah, and then there's a man, and then there's...
Who's sweaty. And
then he's coming down the chimney. Yeah. And then he's off with baby Jesus. So, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. I'll figure it out. All right. Well, until we end up meeting again, thank you ever so much.
Okay.
It's been a delight and a pleasure.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much.